Hey fellas, how's it going? What? You guys found a baby washed up on shore? You don't know what to do with it? It's got a map? That's super weird. Well, that's not my problem. Anyway, I've had a really long break from this series. Way too long, in fact. Sorry about that. I've got some games beaten though, so I can just start writing up some scripts and actually recording some videos. You know, it's not going to be 5 months between episodes anymore. That's my bad. I'm back. And so are the videos. Anyway, you might be wondering what game we're talking about today. Well, here's a little hint. It involves these fellas and an island. Yoshi's Island! Or if you want to be more specific, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. That's right, it might not look like it at first glance, but this is a sequel to the legendary Super Mario World. Developed by Nintendo's Entertainment Analysis and Development Division, published by Nintendo, obviously. Yoshi's Island was released in 1995 and would go on to sell more than 4 million copies. While that may sound like a lot, consider the fact that its predecessor sold over 20 million copies. You might start to realise that Yoshi's Island was a bit of an underappreciated gem of a game. Yoshi's Island was created by some of the heavy hitters over at Nintendo, being directed by Takashi Tezuka, Shigefumi Hino, Hideki Kono, Toshihiko Nagako. All 4 of these guys had previously worked on Super Mario World, as well as most of them having worked in early Mario titles as well. So why the departure from playing as a titular Mario for this sequel, we may ask? Well, Shigeru Miyamoto had stated previously that he'd been wanting to make a game starring Yoshi since about as far back as the development of the first Super Mario World. Miyamoto didn't really like any of the previous Yoshi games, those being Yoshi's Cookie, Yoshi's Egg, and Yoshi's Safari, and really wanted to make a game more authentic to the Yoshi character. Of course, we can't talk about a Mario game without talking about the soundtrack. This was composed by the absolute god of video game soundtracks, Koji Kondo. Known for his work on literally every mainline Super Mario game and every mainline Zelda game. Not a bad resume. The soundtrack to this game is up there with my favourite Mario game soundtracks. It's catchy, fun, and sometimes pretty intense. The songs really fit the mood of this game, being so bouncy and so fun at all times. Even in the more dark, intense moments, there's still sort of this upbeat bounce to every song, if you know what I mean. So, shall we listen to a few snippets so you can see what I'm talking about? Looking at this game and then back at the original Super Mario World, you'll probably notice the vast difference in art style, and there is a story behind this. An early demo of the game was shown to Nintendo's marketing department, but it was knocked back, stating that the visuals were lacking the punch compared to the pre-rendered 3D graphics of the newly released Donkey Kong Country. Not wanting to go with another pre-rendered 3D look, Shigeru Miyamoto instead developed a more stylized, more cartoony look for the game. This was achieved by having artists hand-draw the characters and backgrounds, then they scanned them in and recreated them pixel by pixel on the computer, a very tedious process. Thankfully, this new art style was given the go-ahead by the marketing team, leading to a really visually impressive game, very unique, and it stood the test of time quite well if you ask me. Speaking of graphics, Yoshi's Island is one of only 3 completed games to utilise the Super Effects 2 graphics chip. The use of this new chip allowed for much larger sprites as well as sprite rotation, scaling, and more advanced parallax scrolling. If you hadn't guessed by now, this game's actually a prequel to Super Mario World. The story goes like this. Baby Mario and Baby Luigi were being brought to their parents by the stork when they were suddenly ambushed by Kamek. That's Bowser's crony. He managed to snag Baby Luigi and the stork, imprisoning them both in Bowser's castle. Kamek was unable to grab Baby Mario though, who instead plummets God knows how far down to the sea below. Eventually Baby Mario washes up on Yoshi's Island. He's discovered by a group of Yoshis. These Yoshis see a map to Bowser's castle in Mario's possession. I don't know where he got the map or how, but off they set on a grand journey to reunite the 2 babies. So what's the gameplay like in Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island? How's it different from Super Mario World 1? Could be asking this, but you're probably not. Honestly, who hasn't played this 27-year-old game by now? In Yoshi's Island, you play as one of 8 different coloured Yoshis, while Baby Mario rides on your back. It's got your typical running, jumping, platform controls, but they've added a flutter jump for Yoshi to reach higher places or further distances. Yoshi can also throw eggs at enemies. You get more eggs by swallowing the enemies that you grab with your long tongue. You don't, however, have a usual hit-based health system in this game. Instead, it's more like time-based. If you get hit, Yoshi drops Baby Mario, who gets sucked into this weird bubble and floats around. You have until the timer reaches 0 to get him back, or else he gets taken away by Bowser's minions and you lose a life. The entire time Mario is floating around in this bubble, you're in a frantic panic trying to get him back as he just screams his tits off like a banshee. Shut up. Oh my god, just shut up. Oh god, I'm trying to save you, child. Stop crying. Yeah, that was one point of criticism towards the game. People really did not like Baby Mario's crying. The game consists of 6 worlds, each containing 8 levels, as well as a possible unlockable bonus stage. Levels 4 and 8 of each world also end off with a boss fight, some of my favourite parts of the game. Within each level there are 3 types of collectibles, 30 stars, 20 red coins, and 5 flowers. If you collect all of them in each level of a world, you'll unlock a bonus 9th level, something which I didn't even do once during this playthrough because I'm way too lazy. I flew through the first level without any real trouble while having a really great time enjoying the game's music. We got to the end of the level and I got lucky on the end ring, allowing me to play a bonus minigame to earn more lives. Not so lucky was the fact that I lost the minigame, no free lives for me. Level 2 started off a bit rougher, getting demolished by a giant chain chomp in the first few seconds. About halfway through the level, we got to our first transformation of the game. That's right, Yoshi transforms in this game. This time we got to turn it into a helicopter. It's a little awkward to control, but it's still a lot of fun. Basically, you get a short period of time where, as a helicopter, you need to make it to a Yoshi box at the end, and that'll turn you back into a Yoshi. If you don't make it in time, though, it shoots you back to where you first transformed and you have to try again. After that, the level was basically over. Unfortunately, we didn't get another bonus game. On to level 3. This was an underground world with a banger of a tune playing in the background. I had a bit of a gush over how cute and weird the caveman blokes are. I don't know what they're meant to be, but they are super cute. These guys are fucking adorable, them little cave goblins. Love them. I constantly lost Baby Yoshi because of these weird dandelion fluff dudes falling onto me as I was trying to speed through the level. Luckily, I'm just damn good and I didn't lose much time on the health timer anyway. Next up, we had the first fort of the game, Bert the Bashful's fort. Forts are the 4th level in each world, essentially a somewhat tougher level with a boss fight at the end. This is the first level to implement the Mode 7 chip's fake 3D with the doors that fall towards the screen and onto you and crush you if you aren't fast enough. It holds up relatively well. It looks really impressive for a Super Nintendo game, if not a little bit odd. I really love the look of the lava in this game for some reason. I really can't explain it. It's just super appealing to my little monkey brain. Before long, we're up to the first boss fight of the game. I adore the boss fights in this game. They are so good. So you're still on the baby side. Yoshi, baby? What? So you're still on the baby side. Yoshi, baby. Let's get a... Is he saying like, Yoshi, baby? He's calling me Yoshi, baby? I like it. The Bashful. That's pretty easy to take out. You just shoot him in the ass and his pants fall down. Every time you hit him, he's like, whoop, whoa. A real satisfying sound. I thought I was doing really well, but honestly, I got hit so much I almost ran out of health. Somehow, though, I prevailed and shot Bert so much that he dropped his dax. He got embarrassed about the fact he has no knob and he turned red and flew away. With that, we're off to the next level. First auto-scroller of the game. Auto-scrollers suck. That is all I have to say about this level. The next level went by without much to talk about, really. Just a good time. But then we got to the best level in the game. Possibly the best level in any game. Touch fuzzy, get dizzy. This level starts out pretty uneventful, introducing some weird little enemies that roll up in balls. Kinda like those bugs we all played with as kids. I think they're called Slater Beetles. Not everyone played with them? Not everyone collected a bunch of them and kept them in their room until they died and smelled bad? Just me? Okay. Anyway, the real appeal of this level is the fuzzies. Alright, now this is what we've all been waiting for. Yoshi fucking tripping balls. Surely this was implemented just as a way to show off Mode 7, but god I love it. If Yoshi touches these fuzzies, his eyes go super wide, the controls get super wonky, and the music just gets real weird. It's really hard to control Yoshi when he's tripping, but it's so much fun. Now, if this isn't a hallucinogenic reference, I'll eat my hat. The name of the level in German is Lustiges Sporendrama, which translates to funny spore drama. More interestingly, the initials of the German name is LSD, a well-known hallucinogenic drug. Anyway, I had a goddamn blast playing this level. The level itself isn't too hard and I beat it without much trouble. Next up was the last level of the world, Salvo the Slime's Cave. The 8th level of each world is a castle, a tougher level with a big boss fight at the end. This level had a few little bits that tripped me up, but after running around aimlessly for a while, I managed to make it to the boss fight, Salvo the Slime. I love this boss fight, it's just super satisfying visually. Salvo is this big slime and you shoot him and the little baby slimes fall out of him. You can either eat him to get more eggs or you jump on him and pop him. Once you shoot him enough, he turns into this tiny slime and explodes. It's super easy, but really fun. And with that, we're on to World 2. Now, I'm not going to be talking about every single level, or we'll be here for hours. So how about we just skip to the interesting stuff, hey? Level 2 of World 2, we had our first encounter with Super Baby Mario, which I can't skip over. In Yoshi's Island, if you collect a superstar, you get to play as Baby Mario, while Yoshi just hangs out in a giant egg. You run super fast, you can run on walls and roofs, basically you just get to zoom around until you run out of time. Then Yoshi gets to take control again. This is used to get to new locations that Yoshi can't reach, because they're either too high or you have to go through little tunnels. It's a little thing, but it's really fun. Also, just for a bit of trivia, Miyamoto originally wanted the star to turn Baby Mario into adult Mario, so you just run around as a full-grown Mario. Some people said it made no sense and it was kind of a jarring change, so they went with Super Baby Mario instead. I still kind of like the idea of playing as Big Mario, but Super Baby Mario is cool. Eventually we made it to World 2, Level 4, the next fort. A pretty uneventful but fun level. At the end of it we faced off against Biggie Boo? What a creative name. A fun boss fight with a creative mechanic. When you face boos, they cover their face and become invisible, so you need to be able to hit them without seeing them. To defeat Biggie Boo, you have to face away from him and bounce eggs off the walls. It's a quick and easy boss fight, but it's a fun, unique mechanic. World 2, Level 6, the Cave of Mystery Maze. Now that's a name that suits this level. I got lost, like really lost. I was running around this cave for what seemed like forever before I eventually made it out. Big boss of World 2 was the Potted Ghost, a ghost in a flower pot. He shoots blue flames that slowly fall towards you. They're pretty easy to dodge, really. Your goal is to push him off the edge while some little shy guys try and push him back towards the middle. Occasionally he'll shove you away. It doesn't damage you, but it does stop you from pushing him for a second. This was really easy, it took me about 10 seconds to beat. World 3 Level 1 is cool because it has monkeys! That's all I really have to say about the level, I just like the monkeys. They're super cute the way they hop around the place. By this point in the stream, I was getting pretty tired, so after slogging my way through Level 2 of World 3, I decided to call it a night. That's where we ended off the first stream at 2 hours and 17 minutes of gameplay. Stream number 2. We started off at 3-3, which is a cool level because it has monkeys and Big Water Blug, who's super cute. Apparently its name is Neppy Nut. Get it? You're not making it easy, sir. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Not only that, but there are some big fat birds called Huffin' Puffins who have a trail of baby birds following them. And you can steal the babies if you lick a baby. Now there's a sentence I never thought I'd say. You can replace your eggs with baby birds. You can shoot them at enemies and they float a little bit different than the eggs. Essentially they do the same thing but just cuter. Also, what in God's name are these things? Sheep crabs? I don't know. The wiki says they're called claw daddies and that they're crabs covered in sea foam, but I prefer sheep crab. 3-4 is Prince Froggy's Fort. That's hard to say. I was going to say this is my favourite of the boss fights, but I'm not so sure. After looking at the list of the bosses, I really can't pick a favourite, they're all so good. In this fight, you get shrunk down and swallowed by Prince Froggy. The fight takes place in his belly. You have to eat these shy guys that he eats, and then shoot the eggs at his throat dangly thing, all while dodging falling stomach acid. The visual design on this fight is the best. The stomach squishes under Yoshi's weight, and when you defeat him, he flashes all these pretty colours. 3-6, the cave of Harry Hedgehog got me lost worse than the maze level earlier. I wandered around the cave for so long. After what felt like an eternity, I realized I needed to exit the cave and come back in from a higher point to get this sneaky key. That was so satisfying when I figured that one out. Fuck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The final castle of World 3 is Naval Piranha's Castle. It's a super cool level, and it has these guys called Hootie the Bluefish. The creators of this game sure love their name puns, and so do I. Give it up, Yoshi, you cutie without a navel. What? Oh, forget it. That is a weird sentence. Where did that come from? How does he know that Yoshi doesn't have a belly button? Is it because he doesn't wear pants or shirt? Forgot the boss's name was Naval, hence my confusion. This is a really fun boss fight. I couldn't remember how to beat him right away, so this is the first fight that actually gave me a bit of difficulty. I kept trying to shoot him, but nothing was happening. Eventually I realized you need to shoot your egg at an angle, skim it off the water, and then it hits the little sore spot. It's easier said than done though, you miss a lot. Eventually I managed to take him out. Fun fact about this boss fight, if you shoot him before the cutscene with Kamek even starts, you can actually finish him off in just one hit. This leads to Kamek freaking out a bit. It's a quick, easy way to beat the fight, and a really cool addition I never knew about. I didn't know about this one till I was an adult. World 4 Level 1. This level has the first instance of Goombas in the game, and damn, they look freaky. Also, the return of Fuzzies. Fun little Easter egg in this level too. If you know, you know. War 3 was cool because you got to ride in a big-ass balloon. War 4 was Marching Mildred's Fort. An interesting name. I wonder if Mild is short for Mildred. This level's great. You get jump scared by a big friggin' chain chomp that chases you as you run for dear life. In this level, there's an X-shaped room with a door in each corner, as well as a locked door in the center. You need to get a key from each of the corner rooms to be able to get to the final boss fight in the center. Mild's Kirby. That's all there is to it. I'm not sure what it's meant to be, but it just looks like a big fat Kirby. You need to get on top of Mild and ground pound to split it into two little Milds. Then rinse and repeat. It's a nice easy one, but it's really satisfying. In level 4-7, we got another army of bird followers. Next up was Hookbill the Cooper's Castle. We got to play Breakout with eggs at one point. It was so much fun. I'm certain they just added this in to amuse people like me. Anyway, on to the boss fight. After running through a lot of dramatic mist, we stumbled upon Hookbill. He's super weird looking, but kinda oddly cute at the same time. You know what I mean? He runs at you and you need to shoot eggs at him to knock him on his back. If you don't, he'll run at you and then he just trips over. Then you can jump on his head to get more eggs. I don't know why, doesn't really make sense, but sure. If you manage to knock him on his back, you can ground pound his stomach to deal some damage. We took Hookbill out pretty quickly and onto the second and last world, World 5. This world's ice and snow themed. Pretty cool if you ask me. Get it? 5-1 has cute as hell little penguin fellas, I just love them. 5-2 is a really memorable level for me. It's called Ride the Ski Lifts. You make a gigantic snowball at the start of the level and you use it as a platform. It's really oddly satisfying, like a lot of things in this game. After that, you need to ride the ski lifts over the giant chasms. Essentially a moving platform scrolling segment. It can be a little bit tricky as you have to dodge a bunch of enemies while riding these platforms. The ice physics really wrecked me in 5-3. There are these huge ice blocks that you need to run across and it gets super slippery. I ended up getting really annoyed and rage quitting the stream. I'd been streaming for 2.5 hours by this point and I was pretty much ready to call it quits anyway before this level even started, and this just really pushed me over the edge. They just drop off the ski lifts. They're fucking... Nah, to their doom. What I was gonna say. You know what? I think I've had enough. I'm just gonna get more frustrated from this point on. I'm gonna call it a night. I'm real tired. We We started off stream number 3 of Yoshi's Island back at 5-3. Quickly we made it much further than we did in the last stream. Things took a turn when we entered a little hut and came out wearing skis. Yeah, that's right, you get to ski in this level. You move forward automatically and you just need to jump over enemies, rocks and bottomless pits. There was this one pit that I just kept falling in, like constantly. You need to jump over a rock, then land for like a split second before jumping again to get over a pit. I kept jumping as soon as I touched the ground after jumping over that rock. Every time I jumped just a little bit too soon and I fell in the pit. Eventually I made it through the level though. It only took me about 10 minutes to get through the whole thing, but it felt like forever. Next up was Sluggy the Unshaven's Fort, the single greatest level name in any game ever. This level has a bunch of cool enemies. These weird custard blob fellas are cool. I love their name. Georgette Jelly? That's amazing. There's also of course the titular Sluggies, which coincidentally is the nickname that I call my pug. Sluggy. I call her that more often than her real name, in fact. She probably thinks her name is Slug. About halfway through the level, we meet this little cutie. His name's Muddy Buddy. You get to ride on him as he jumps over the dangerous terrain. It's extremely slow though. Sluggy is another interesting boss fight. You shoot eggs into him which leave indents in his gelatinous body. If you shoot enough into him fast enough, you reach his oddly hairy heart, and then you can do some damage. Meanwhile, he slides closer and closer, trying to push you off the edge. You have to beat him really quickly or else he'll push you off the edge. But as long as you can aim your eggs pretty well, it's an easy fight. 5-7 introduces another new enemy that I'm pretty fond of, the Ravens. These little fellas stand on these spherical planet-like things. They just wander around them. Clearly they're just implemented to show off more of the capabilities of the Super Effects 2 chip with sprite rotation, but I love it. Next up was Raphael the Raven's Castle. A very fun level that has you climbing higher and higher through a tower. As you get higher, you start to see the night sky and eventually the moon off in the background. A little bit of foreshadowing by the developers, I think. Once you get through the boss room, Raphael body slams you and you fly off to the moon somehow. Don't ask me. This boss fight is a little disorientating. The background spins around you as you circle the moon. It can make you dizzy pretty quickly. To beat Raphael, it's pretty simple. You just need to butt slam these pegs through the moon, and they hit him on the ass on the other side. The hard part is just timing it right so that when you slam it, he's directly opposite to you. It's a bit fiddly. It took me a while to get through this fight, just because my timing was just a tiny bit off. But eventually we took him out. With that, we're on to the final world. Finally, the spooky world, full of skeletons. By this point, I'd spent over 5 hours playing Yoshi's Island and I was pretty keen to finish it off, so I blasted through this world as quick as I could. 5-4 was Tap Tap the Red Nose's Fort. The boss fight takes place on those cool looking green, red and yellow destructible blocks, the ones from when we got to play Breakout earlier. The aim of this one's pretty simple. You destroy the floor and you shoot him into the lava below. It took me about 15 seconds to beat him. Before long, we're up to the final level of the game, King Bowser's Castle. Starting off with a transformation into a helicopter, you need to make it across a big pit. You need to do this very quickly while dodging Kamek, who flies at you from behind, and skeleton birds flying towards you. Took me a few tries, but we did make it through and get into the castle. Inside was a spinning wheel of doors, all numbered. Shooting one of them makes it drop down. I shot wildly. I got door number 1! There were some tricky platforming puzzles that I had to make it through. Dodging big spiky balls and jumping onto these platforms that drop into the lava. I slowly made my way through and I got to the next room without dying somehow. The next room is an auto-scroller. It's an oddly floral room. You need to dodge Kamek's magic attack. If his magic attack hits a block, it turns them into random enemies or stars. I got through this section without any trouble and I made it to the gigantic boss door. I love that it's just a sprite they've stretched out to make bigger. Kamek tries to convince Yoshi to hand over Baby Mario. This wakes up Baby Bowser though, and he is pissed. Then the boss fight begins. Baby Bowser tries to ride Yoshi, but if you manage to dodge him, he just makes the floor shake and then these big waves come at you from both sides. I don't know if I explained that super well. You might just have to look at the footage. You get it, right? You can also do the same to him. You need to ground pound the floor and hit him with these wavy floor bits to do damage. This part of the boss fight's pretty quick and easy, so I took him out first try, but what happens next genuinely terrified me as a kid. Just listen to the music that plays. And out of the distance, you see this big looming figure of a giant baby Bowser with glowing eyes. I mean, have you seen this guy? This shit is scary as heck. I died pretty much immediately. If you die in this section, you have to fight baby Bowser in his first form again. On my second attempt at Big Bowser, I didn't do much better. Giant rocks fell from the sky and they destroy the floor that you're standing on, so you have to keep moving. Unfortunately, I stood still just a bit too long and I lost. Attempt number 3, I actually managed to grab an egg and shoot it at him. Unfortunately, the aiming feels a bit weird at first, so basically I shot it straight at the ground. The second shot was way too high and I knocked one of his minions out of the sky, which was kind of funny. This boss fight's genuinely tough, but I did manage to get a hit in. You need to aim your shot right, and I thought you needed to hit him in the mouth while dodging his fireballs. You don't actually need to hit him in the mouth, you just need to hit him at all. Every now and then Bowser walks closer to you. This does make him easier to hit, but it also makes him way more terrifying. After a couple of hits, he made some more rocks come down and destroyed even more floor, so I was running out of places to stand. He was getting really close to me as well by this point. Eventually, he did get too close and he just plows right through you, destroying the floor and killing you instantly. It's terrifying when that happens. Time for attempt number 4. I was starting to get the hang of aiming by this point and I was smacking him around like there was no tomorrow. This was it, the final attempt. I took out Bowser and I finished the game. After taking out Bowser, Kamek gets upset and flies off, cursing out Yoshi, leaving us to go rescue baby Luigi and the stork. After the credits finish rolling, we're shown a little scene of the babies being dropped off to their parents. It's super sweet. And with that, Yoshi's Island was completed at 6 hours and 19 minutes. Time well spent if I do say so myself. Yoshi's Island is up there as one of my favourite games. Its cute, charming art style is such a pleasure to look at. The music is so much fun, so bouncy, so jolly, and it's got so many catchy songs, but you're not going to get sick of them. The gameplay itself feels pretty innovative, especially compared to some of the older Mario games. Yoshi's Island does a lot to differentiate itself from other platformers, whether it's the transformations, the baby in a bubble health system, or just the really unique boss fights. Overall, this is an amazing game. I really do recommend if you haven't tried it yet, please give it a go. And if it's been a while since you've played it, give it another go. It's so much fun. For gameplay, I'd rate this game an 8.5 out of 10. The controls feel good, puzzles and platforming feel well thought out, tricky enough to keep it interesting, but not so hard that it's frustrating to play. The collectibles bothered me a little bit. Having one of the 3 collectibles basically tied to your health made me not want to go out of my way to get them. Basically, it's too annoying to 100% the level because you could do everything right, collect everything, and then get hit by an enemy right at the end of the level, then you lose some of your star points and you don't 100% the level. If that was removed so the only collectibles were the red coins and the flowers, this game would move up to a 9 for me. The music was a strong 8 out of 10. I really love everything about the music in this game. If you go back and watch the stream VODs, you'll hear me say about 1,000 times, "Oh man, I love this track," or "Oh man, the boss music is amazing." Rating things on a scale from 1 to 10 is pretty hard. I don't really have anything bad to say about the music in this game. Obviously I love it, but I also don't feel like it's a perfect 10. I don't really have a reason. Music's subjective, I guess, so yeah, I don't know. It's on par with the Donkey Kong Country 1 music, which got an 8 as well, so that kind of explains my reasoning as well as I can. The graphics deserve an 8, maybe even an 8.5. I think I'll stick with an 8 though. 8 out of 10. I love the complete 180 from the CG 3D graphics that were suggested for this game, instead going for a cartoony hand-drawn look. That was such a great idea, perfect for a Yoshi game, and it adds so much character. The heavy use of the Super Effects 2 chip, while incredibly impressive for its time, it does somewhat date some of the 3D style visuals. Like the falling doors or the spinning platforms, they just look a little bit off. Still really cool, just a bit off. And of course, I just once again need to praise the boss design. Even though they're essentially just giant versions of normal enemies, I love them. They're fantastic. Overall, this game gets a 9 out of 10 for me. It's so much fun and it just oozes charm. I know I can go back to this game time and time again and have a blast, and I have many times. Had a lot of fun streaming this game, and I want to thank everyone who came to keep me company during those streams. It meant a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching through to the end. I really appreciate it. Swear the wait between the next episodes won't be anywhere near this long. If you enjoyed this and you want to see more from this series, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Next up, we're going to be playing Kirby's Dream Land 3, and you don't want to miss that one. Have a great day. See you in the next video.